What is the lie that's keeping you from healing? The lie that's keeping way too many of us stuck in our healing journey is the lie that says you have to be fully healed. Newsflash, hint, hint, that doesn't exist. Healed is not a state that you can achieve. Healed, there is no healed version. There is no healed final destination. You learn how to heal. You learn how to live life in a healing process with healing tools, with healing awareness is really what it's about. But so often we believe that you have to be fully healed before you can be seen, before you can be loved, before you can be successful, before you can be safe, before you can be abundant, wealthy, all the things that you want. You believe that you have to be fully healed, and that is not the truth. It's the lie that says you have to fix yourself to be worthy, that you have to be perfect and you have to hit certain goals and hit a certain amount of achievements before you can finally rest. It's a lie that says you have to clean up the mess before you deserve to be held. It's a big lie that a lot of people keep themselves from being in relationships with too. They say like, oh, I can't be in a relationship until I have healed, myself. I can't be with somebody else until I've healed. That's not true. That's not true. In fact, most of the healing that you do happens in relationships with others. How are you going to know what parts of you are still wounded? How are you going to know what wounds you have if you're never triggered? If you're never being with someone who is a mirror to you and exposing what those wounds are? It's not going to happen. So that's not true. What you need to learn how to do is be in a process of healing and be okay with living in a process of healing. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining. Because healing is really going back to your inner child, your childhood wounds, the inner core beliefs that you have about yourself that says that like you're not worthy, you're not lovable, all these things. But your inner child doesn't need you to be perfect. Your inner child doesn't need you to be this healed version of yourself before you can be visible, before you can be seen, before you can be loved. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to know how to be present with yourself. Your inner child doesn't want perfection. Your inner child wants presence from you. That is really what we need. We don't need perfection. We need to learn how to be present. We need to know how to sit with ourselves, sit with our feelings when we do get triggered, when we do feel these wounds, when we do want to run and hide, not abandon ourselves. Sit with ourselves, be with ourselves, feel our feelings. That is healing. That is healing. That's not a state of being healed. That's called healing. That's literally called allowing your life, living your life, allowing shit to come up, triggers to come up, and you don't leave yourself in the process of that. You sit there and you heal with yourself. You heal with another person in a relationship. You co-regulate. That is what healing is, okay? So let's talk about this. When you learn how to shift from I need to be healed to I'm healing and I'm going to be with myself, I'm going to be present with myself, I'm going to be present with this other person, I'm not going to abandon myself. That is healing. That is the goal right there. So this lie that you need to be fully healed, where does this come from? This lie that you need to be fully healed or perfect or high vibrational before you're worthy of living in peace, before you're worthy of having love, before you're worthy of success. It really does start, like I said, in your childhood conditioning. As children, we're often told, be good, be quiet, be helpful, don't cry, don't be too sensitive. That's one thing that I got told a lot when I was younger. It's like, you don't stop being so sensitive. I was a very emotional child, y'all. Super emotional, super sensitive, and I am still very sensitive. But, as a child, you were rewarded for being agreeable. You were rewarded for suppressing your emotions, for being easy to love, for getting good grades, for being, performing really well, whether that was in school or in sports, extracurriculars, all of those things, right? So that teaches your inner child that authenticity, who you really are, the person that's allowed to show true emotions, the person that's allowed to mess up, make mistakes, and really just be real. It was unsafe for you to be that version of yourself. It was inconvenient to the people around you, or it was just too much. It was just too much to the people around you. And this sort of conditions us to believe that love is earned and not freely given. It conditions us to believe that love is conditional and not something that you get even when you fuck up, even when you mess up, even when you're not perfect, even when you're not performing really well, even when you're getting on somebody's nerves. If you be good, if you act like a good child, then you get rewarded, right? I know a big one for me when I was growing up was that resting equals being lazy. You don't get to rest. You always need to be doing something. You need to be either doing your chores, you need to be doing your homework, you need to be working on something. You don't get a chance to just chill out. If you're chilling out, how are you chilling? What are you chilling for? My parents didn't chill that much. They were always working a lot, like most people in America anyway, especially middle class, lower middle class, definitely lower class. People are just working, grinding all the time. There's always something to do, whether it's work outside the house or even work to just upkeep the house. Saturday morning, you need to be getting up, doing your chores, handling your business, right? You don't get to rest. Resting is really looked at as being lazy, looked at as being a bad thing. Emotions, showing emotions is a weakness, right? Having needs is selfish. Having needs is something that you don't need to have needs. You're good. Especially if you got food, water, and shelter. I know for a lot of people, emotional needs were secondary. Emotional needs were often neglected, not intentionally neglected, but just because there were other priorities that came before your physiology needs, right? Or that came before your emotional needs. Your physical needs came way before your emotional needs. And I know that's how it was for me when I was growing up. So if your needs weren't consistently met, then your nervous system basically learns that you have to perform in order to be safe. So as an adult, for me, that has shown up in so many ways. I feel guilty when I want to just rest. Even when I'm resting, I still talk to my mom today. She's like, oh, well, what are you doing today? I'm resting. Now she's gotten better at being oh, okay, that's good. But I know for a while it was you're resting. Don't you have something to do? Don't you got something to do? Don't you got some work to do? There's always this constant pressure to be doing something, to be working, to be busy, right? You also feel you need to do a whole lot before you receive. You have to earn things that you receive, which to some degree that is, true, but it's not the whole entire truth. We do get to receive just for being who we are. We are abundant by birthright. We don't have to earn love from God. We don't have to do that. That's a lie. That is not the truth. We don't have to earn love. We don't have to earn abundance. We do have to take action. We do have to be living in alignment, but that's not the same thing as having to earn things, right? And then another pattern that shows up as an adult from these core childhood wounds or childhood things is that you feel you self-sabotage your own peace when success starts to feel close to you. This is something that is, a lot of people struggle with this, or they start working on something and the going gets tough, or they hit a bump in the road and they just give up altogether. They don't even want to start trying. Essentially, they don't want to keep going because they run into an obstacle, or they get really close to their goal and that the fear kicks in of like, oh my gosh, I'm about to get found out. Like, I'm about to be exposed. Am I really who I think I am? I'm not really ready for this. Basically, your nervous system is not really ready to hold that level, that version of yourself just yet. But this is all survival conditioning, y'all. This is not the truth. This is not your truth. This is not the truth of who you are. Perfection is a trauma response. I am a retired perfectionist. I used to literally, like, if I wasn't going to be successful at something, I didn't even try. If I wasn't going to be perfect, forget about it. I wasn't even about to do that shit. Because, like, I needed to be perfect. And if things were going and I could see I wasn't going to, like, get it right away or be good at, excel at something, I probably wouldn't even go for it because I needed to be perfect. I needed to know that I was going to be accepted. I needed to know that I was going to be successful at it before I even tried it because I needed to be perfect, right? But the pursuit of perfection is just a strategy that your inner child develops to avoid abandonment, rejection, and chaos. And this leads to a belief that healing means to fix yourself. It means to strive for this perfect version of yourself, which is, it's not going to happen. It's not real. None of us are perfect. None of us are supposed to be perfect. You think that, you get into this pattern where you think that if you just clear enough blocks from your manifestations, or if you just do enough inner work, if you just work on yourself enough, you'll finally feel like safe. But like I said, true healing is not about becoming perfect. It's not about becoming healed. It's not about becoming this like flawless version of yourself who has exposed all their triggers and never gets triggered, who has exposed all their wounds and, has perfectly healed. That's not what it is. Healing is about being present with yourself. It's about building up the emotional strength and capacity to handle whatever comes up within you, to handle whatever comes up in your relationships. It means to be with yourself rather than shutting down, rather than running away out of that fear. Not letting the fear take over in those situations where life happens, where you feel those emotions, where you feel like you're gonna get rejected, or where you feel like you're gonna get abandoned, or anything like that. You don't reject yourself. You don't abandon yourself. You stay with yourself. That is what healing is. That is the way to live a life that is about healing, right? So you also have this fear of being too much. So this was something that I struggled with for a very, very long time, the fear of being too much. And I'm still healing these parts of myself to this day, right? So this happens when your inner child gets shamed, where you feel shame about expressing big emotions or having too much attention on you all the time, or just you have been called an attention seeker, or feeling like you just need attention all the time. I know that was a big one for me. Or being too sensitive, another big one for me. Being way too sensitive, being very emotionally reactive, just having big feelings that you didn't know how to regulate, because when you're a child, no one teaches you how to regulate your emotions. You just have all these big ass feelings and you don't know how to regulate them, right? So now, to protect yourself, in order to not disrupt or disappoint or disrespect the people around you, you learn to stay small. You learn to be quiet. You learn to shrink yourself. You learn to put yourself in this box. You learn to shrink your emotions in order to avoid triggering other people, in order to avoid making other people feel triggered. Especially if you have like a big personality, you learn how to like dilute yourself, dim your light, as they say. You learn to dim your light to make other people feel comfortable. We can't be doing that. We cannot be doing that. Yeah, exactly. It's such a, oh, my bad. It's such a real thing. And we can't do that. It's not serving anybody. It's definitely not serving you when you dim your own light to make other people feel comfortable. You don't deserve that. You deserve to be who you authentically are. If that means you got a big personality, if you have a bright light, you get to shine it. You deserve to take up space. You deserve to be who you authentically are. Because honestly, when other people get over the fact that they're triggered by who you are, then it gives them permission, and it gives also the people who are ready for permission, it gives them permission to be as big as they are too. And we need big, bright lights in this world. We need more people who are authentic and authentically shining and being as bright as they were designed to be, right? Hence why I am coming on this live to talk to people. Give me a follow if you like my content too, by the way. I post a lot of this type of content. Thanks for tuning in. But yeah, so back to what we're talking about here. You also get into this like perfection spiral. You get into this perfection spiral. So you overwork because you feel behind. Guilty. I overwork until I burnt out sometimes, and that's something I'm actively working on, is trying to catch that for myself, tune into myself before I burn out. Give myself rest. Sometimes, especially when you have big goals, when you have things that you're really striving for, you feel like you need to be working a lot, which is true, but you just need to be taking aligned action. And you also need to trust in rest, and trust that when you're resting, things are still happening. God is still literally working behind the scenes while you rest. You actually need to just get out the way sometimes so that things can happen in the spirit realm, so that things can rearrange themselves in the spirit realm and then trickle down to you in the material, in the physical realm. Exactly. Aligned action. Don't be doing stuff. Don't be doing things just because you feel like you're going to fall behind, or just because you feel like if you're not doing something, that means you're being lazy and you're not working towards your goals. Like, no. Do what makes sense. Do what is actually aligned. Do what's actually going to move you forward. Don't do what just makes you feel like you're doing something for the sake of doing something. Because you're 9 times out of 10, when you're doing something for the sake of doing something, you're just wasting your energy. You're literally just wasting energy that you actually need to be conserving. So another one is you people please because you don't want to be judged and you don't want to make other people feel uncomfortable. I'm literally speaking from experience. I'm speaking to myself right now. Raising hand. You people please because you don't want to be judged. You don't want to make other people feel uncomfortable. You are abandoning yourself for the sake of this perceived connection. When you people please, people are not really even connecting with the authentic you, because you're showing up as somebody that you're not. You're pretending to be somebody that you're not just to make somebody else feel comfortable. You are violating your own boundaries. You're abandoning your own needs when you people please. And that's not a foundation for a true, genuine, authentic connection, because this person is not really getting the real you. They're getting a version of you that wants to please them. And those two are not the same. Those are literally not the same. You want to appear perfect. You want to appear like, oh, I'm good. I just go with the flow. Everything is happy-go-lucky. This happens a lot in if you're in romantic situationships a lot. This happens a lot in, friendships, things like that, where you, even in family relationships, you put other people's needs before your own. And this is all going back to needing to feel like you're being perfect, needing to feel like you're the perfect relationship companion for this other person. But in reality, they're not getting the true, authentic version of you. They're not understanding what your needs are. They're never going to know what your needs are if you're constantly abandoning your own needs, if you're constantly violating your own boundaries for the sake of this connection, right? So you're doing this because your nervous system is telling you that if I'm perfect, I'll be safe. You do this to be safe. We people please in relationships so that we can feel safe with this other person, so that we can feel safe in this connection, right? Sometimes we overgive and underreceive because we don't believe that who we are is enough. We feel like we have to overcompensate for whatever we feel like we lack in order to keep this person in our lives, or keep a connection with this person, or keep a relationship with this person. And healing does not happen when you do any of those things that I just named. Healing happens when you literally disrupt these patterns with compassion. Healing happens when you start to choose yourself. When you become aware that you do these things, when you become aware of these patterns where you are abandoning yourself, self-sabotaging, as we like to call it, violating your own boundaries, overstepping your own boundaries. Healing happens when you, A, become aware that that's what you're doing, and B, make different choices. So you have to you have to sit with yourself and not abandon yourself in order to even get to the point where you're realizing that, hey, I'm low-key like trying to be perfect for these other people. I'm abandoning myself just to appear perfect or feel perfect for these other people. And that's not really what we need to be doing. That and healing starts when you recognize that and you start to choose different. So healing is not linear. It's not perfect. Once again, going back to this whole point of this conversation, it's not perfect, and it's not pretty either. It can be messy. It's very emotional, and that's why I say you have to build up the emotional capacity. Healing is about building up emotional capacity to sit with your own feelings, and you have to be present with your feelings. You're building up emotional capacity to be present with yourself. So you're sitting with these emotions. You're asking yourself, why did I let this happen in this relationship? Why did I let them say that to me? Or why did I let them do that to me when I know it made me feel uncomfortable? When I know I'm not okay with that? Why did I stay quiet when I should have spoken up for myself? Things like that. Asking yourself, sitting with those emotions. And healing happens when you literally say, okay, I'm allowed to feel this way. I'm allowed to feel how I feel. And I'm not going to shame myself for it, but I'm going to start asking questions. I'm going to start getting to the bottom of it. I'm going to sit with this so that I can figure out why I keep repeating this pattern. Where is this feeling coming from? This feeling, the pattern that I'm choosing is creating this feeling. So why am I choosing this pattern? Where does this come from? You're going to stop shaming your feelings. You're going to start naming your feelings. Stop shaming them. Start witnessing and naming them, right? So another thing you're going to do when you start to heal is you're going to, like I said, be with the parts of you that feel like a burden to other people. What am I doing? I'm talking. Are you tuned in? Are you tapped in? Are you listening? You're going to be with the versions of yourself that were told that you were too much and that you were not enough, right? So you need to hold yourself. You need to be present with yourself, and you need to not judge yourself. Just hold yourself. Literally, just allow yourself to feel. You want to show up for yourself. You want to feel, you want to allow yourself to feel scared. You want to allow yourself to feel unsure, feel messy. Let your feelings be messy. That is a part of the process. That is a part of sitting with yourself. Because how you feel, if you're not ever sitting with yourself, if you're not ever being present with your feelings, the mess is still happening. It's just happening unconsciously. It's just happening under your awareness. And you really want to say, even in my fear, I'm still going to choose myself. Even in all of this messiness and chaos, I'm still going to take up space within myself. I'm going to expand my emotional capacity to feel my feelings and be real with myself. So this doesn't just happen in your mind. It happens in your body. It happens in the moment. It happens through intentional action and self-connection, which is what I've been talking about this whole entire time. How can you do this? You're going to talk to your inner child. I know that might sound weird to some people, but it works. It's a real thing. I do it all the time, especially when I have experiences that trigger memories, repressed memories from my childhood. And I'm like, oh, I'm reacting like this because this happened when I was like 8 years old. This happened when I was like 7 years old. Something happened and I remember how this made me feel, and I can feel my inner child. She needs me to be present with her right now. She needs me to be here for her right now and sort of reparent myself, hold myself, let myself feel how I feel, but also assure myself that I am okay. I'm not abandoning myself. I'm right here, and this is how we're going to handle this now moving forward. This is how we're going to address. We're going to break this pattern, okay? I had to do this the other day with myself about I had dental trauma. Believe it or not, I had dental trauma when I was a kid, and it made me terrified of the dentist. Some stuff happened, and I couldn't speak up for myself when I was little back then. Some stuff happened to me at the dentist. They basically they did the local anesthesia with that big ass needle, but they didn't put the numbing gel on my gums, so I just felt the whole entire needle go into my jaw when I was super young. I didn't know. It was my first time getting cavity fillings. I didn't know what was going on, but it literally terrified me. It was the worst experience ever. Trauma. It was traumatizing, like flat out. It was very traumatizing. And ever since then, and this happened when I was like 7 years old, y'all. Ever since then, when I go to the dentist, I have literal like panic attacks. Like I literally start to freak out. I hate it so much. And so as I've gotten older, I've started to communicate with my dentist, with my practitioner, saying, hey, this happened to me. I start speaking up for myself. This happened to me when I was a kid. I have really high anxiety about going to the dentist. What are some options? How can we make this a more pleasurable, a more peaceful experience for me? Because I do want to take care of myself. I want to, get my teeth clean and get all the things done that I need to get done, but I'm actually really terrified. What can we do? Work with me. I'm being honest. I'm not going to abandon my inner child who feels terrified right now. I'm not going to suppress her. I'm speaking up for her. I'm literally speaking up for my inner child, that 7-year-old version of me who wasn't able to speak up for herself at the time. This is what I do now. And that's just one example of what that can look like. Talking to your inner child, being with your inner child when you start to feel these anxious experiences. Because what I could do is just go along with the program, act like I'm fine, just so I don't make the practitioners, just so I don't make the dentist feel uncomfortable, right? I could just be like, oh no, I'm fine. Meanwhile, inside I'm actually panicking because I don't want to make a big deal out of something, or I don't want to make it inconvenient for them. But hey, first of all, I'm paying them a lot of money, so I'm going to make this the best experience that I could have possibly ever. And two, I deserve to have a good experience. I deserve to speak up for myself, speak up for my inner child, say how I feel, and advocate for myself, period, at all times. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to talk to your inner child as if you were literally talking to that afraid, like 7-year-old, like I do today. Like the example that I just shared. Another way you're going to learn to heal. Healing is about resting without guilt. This is nervous system regulation, nervous system reprogramming, okay? Resting is not laziness. Resting, honestly, is the best thing you can do in this capitalist society. And this is not a rant about capitalism by any means whatsoever, but you don't have to earn your peace. When you give yourself permission to rest, you basically are saying you don't have to earn your peace. We need rest. All of us are overworked. All of us work too damn much. And hey, sorry, all of us work literally way too damn much, and we feel guilty when we rest. We feel guilty when we need to take a rest. We feel like we're getting behind, especially depending on what your occupation and what your job, your career is. You feel like if you're resting, somebody else is getting ahead of you. You get this like scarcity mindset that we are all programmed to have, where you feel like if you rest, you're falling behind. And I want you to know that that's not true. You are right on time. And when you rest, you basically are telling God, you're basically saying, God, I trust you to still be working on my behalf, which God is always working on our behalf, even when we are resting. You're saying, I trust you to do what you're doing in the spirit realm while I take care of my physical body, while I take care of my mind, while I take care of this vessel so that I can keep going, so that I can keep going on the journey. I am going to stop to rest because I don't have to earn rest. I deserve rest, and I'm going to rest before I burn the fuck out, period. That's what you're going to do. That is healing. That right there, one of the main things that we could do for our healing journey is rest before we get burnt out. Rest before our body forces us to rest. That is like if people would just learn how to rest, I'm talking to myself included, if we would just learn how to rest, more, like prioritize rest, that would heal so much in and of itself. That gives us time to just sit, to just do nothing, to just be abundant, to just be loved, to just trust God, literally, to just trust in the spirit realm. That's not saying we just rest all the time 24/7, but we do rest. We do allow ourselves to rest without feeling guilty for it, without feeling ashamed of the fact that we need to rest, without feeling like we're falling behind when we need to rest, when we do rest, okay? Period. So that's what we're going to do. You're going to also speak to yourself kindly. I know this is like, especially when you are getting triggered. That's when it counts the most. Not just when you're feeling good, not just when you're in a good vibe, but when you're spiraling out of the fucking control, when you're spiraling out of control, you're going to just be with yourself. Speak to yourself with kindness. Speak to yourself nicely. Don't shame yourself. Don't belittle yourself. Don't think there's something wrong with you just because shit is hitting the fan, right? When you're triggered, that's okay. That's a moment literally for you to be with yourself and chill with yourself and say, of course this hurts. Of course I feel like this. I'm still learning how to deal with this. I'm still learning how to feel safe right now. I don't need to fix this right now. I just need to sit with myself. I just need to be kind to myself. I need to rest. I need to take a pause. I need to take a beat. And I need to be gentle with myself, because spiraling out of control is not going to help. Okay? This is emotional mastery. This is nervous system. Hey, Claire. This is nervous system regulation 101. Okay? Speak to yourself don't beat yourself up when you get triggered. Don't beat yourself up when shit hits the fan, because it doesn't help. It's only going to make you feel worse. You're already triggered. Why be your own worst enemy in the moments that you're feeling triggered, right? So if I'm talking to you, I'm gonna post little pieces of this. I'm definitely gonna post this on my YouTube. This is going on YouTube. I'm live on TikTok right now. But if this is you and you've been feeling like you're not allowed to slow down or just be gentle with yourself or soften or just have grace with yourself until you feel like you are better, until you feel like you're fixed, or until you feel like you're healed, whatever that is, that's not a real thing. This message is for you. If you've been carrying the weight of self-improvement, like it's a second full-time job, if you feel guilty when you rest, if you spiral every time you're not on or productive, if your nervous system doesn't let you relax until you've checked every box, until you've done everything that you need to do, this is your permission to chill out. This is your permission to learn how to be healing, not strive for this healed version of yourself, because like I said, that doesn't exist. That's not real. That's a myth. That is a myth. You will never be a healed version of yourself. You learn how to heal. You learn how to live a healing lifestyle. You learn how to let life happen and be gentle with yourself. You learn how to let life happen and not abandon your own emotions in those moments. You learn how to sit with your triggers. You learn how to regulate your emotions. That is what healing actually is. You learn how to regulate your nervous system. You learn how to rest without feeling guilty for it. That is what healing is. You're never going to be healed. There is no healed version of you, because life is going to continue to happen. Life is going to continue to life, okay? If you feel like you have to earn your peace, if you feel like you have to prove your worth, if you feel like you have to clean up your emotions before you're allowed to breathe, let this message be your interruption, okay? This is your permission slip. Stop trying so hard to be healed. Stop trying so hard to be perfect. Stop trying so hard to fix yourself. Start remembering who you were before you were taught that you weren't enough. Go back to that version of yourself, because I promise you that is who you came into this world as. That is the essence of who you truly are, and you are allowed to be that version of yourself. You're not broken. You're burnt out. Okay? You're not broken. You are burnt out. You're burnt out from pretending that you're not in pain. You're broken. You're burnt out from not resting. You're burnt out from pretending that you can keep going when you know you need to sit down. Okay? You're not lazy. You're exhausted from proving your value in systems that were never designed to hold your worth, to show you your worth, to allow you to know your worth. And I'm literally speaking to myself too right now. And you're not behind. You are not behind. You are healing. You are healing on a level that most people will never even touch, that most people will never even get to, because they don't want to sit with themselves. They don't want to sit the fuck down and be with their own emotions and be with themselves. They keep distracting themselves. They just want to keep going until they crash out. Okay? If this is hitting you, drop a "you're talking to me" in the comments. Let yourself be witness. I want to see your inner child, okay? Let your inner child show, period. And if you want to go deeper into this work, my shadow work workbook titled Return to You, it's going to guide you through everything that I'm talking about here, okay? Inner child healing, emotional regulation, identifying your emotional patterns, rewiring your subconscious mind to literally break out of these perfectionist cycles, okay? The link is in the description. The link is on my page. Go get that. And if you want to talk to me more, let me know what you think about this video in the comments, okay? Until next time, I will see y'all soon.